Hey everybody, welcome to today's show. Today we have local radio legend Uncle Henry in the studio. He's from 710 AM Newsradio WNTM, and he's going to talk about branding and what you need to think about for advertising your business, whether it's on the radio or anywhere else. And he's also going to let us know what he thinks is the business epicenter of Mobile, Alabama. I'm Karen. I'm a CPA, entrepreneur with big ideas, and I'm the mom.
I'm Cadie. I'm a payroll specialist, business owner, and detail-oriented person that makes things happen, and I'm the daughter. Welcome to Cheers to Business. Welcome to the show, Uncle Henry.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with you. I've never done a show with so much wine around me.
There is quite a bit of wine. Our producer told us we're not allowed to start drinking it yet, though. Normally, we would offer you a glass of wine.
Well,
we can still open one.
No, I appreciate a sober show.
Okay.
I do.
Well, this will be a sobering one.
Okay.
So we are honored to have you in the Mobile area. I view you as a local celebrity.
Thank you.
Tell me about you. Introduce yourself.
Well, I've been in radio since 1984.
That's when I graduated high school. I remember when you came on.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much. We're both telling our age.
Yes, congratulations on the diploma. That was very important. Just got into radio in 1984 and started giving my opinion, and people seemed to enjoy the way that I gave my opinion. They didn't necessarily agree with the opinion, but they liked the way I gave it. And as the years have gone by, that's all really anybody ever wanted from me. It gradually got to the point where that's all I did was go on the air and give my opinion the way that I do.
How have you been able to handle the different technologies and formats that have come out? Because radio 1984 and even what you're doing on Facebook is totally different now.
I've got an attitude where I enjoy change. One of the things I love about in my profession and in my job is that every day, not just every week or every month, but every day, there's something different that you did not anticipate. So I like it. Now, there are other people in radio, they can't stand the way that technology changes. They feel like it's a burden to try and learn new software or new techniques, all of that. I'm different about that. I like it. I like the challenge of it. It excites me that my employers don't look at me as someone to put out into the pasture. They're still investing in me and letting me learn all these things. So it hasn't been a difficult thing for me to master. In fact, I was just ordered this week. I was ordered to get on Instagram. And yes, I'm late. I was on Twitter very early and Facebook very early, but now I'm having to learn that.
I saw you, and you followed me, then I followed you. So
yes, we followed each other.
We're following each other.
Isn't it wonderful? So a lot of that, what you asked, is about attitude. If you've got the right attitude, it shouldn't be that big of a problem in terms of technology.
I couldn't agree more, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs out there kind of set themselves up because they want it one way and they're not able to bend.
Right.
And you just have to bend in this time.
There was a businessman that used to call me about 10 years ago on my radio talk show, and he would brag about how he didn't have an email account. And all of us would look at each other and say, this is a guy that's not going to be in business very long because he refused to adapt to the world around him.
Speaking of growing your business, you help companies advertise.
Right.
Because you'll do their commercials.
Right.
So I want to get your take on that as far as having a successful advertisement. What do you view as valuable or not valuable, kind of what works and what doesn't?
Well, before I get to that, let me explain where I come from in the world of advertising. I was originally who you would pick if you really wanted to stand out and be different. In fact, the way that I got on local cable television, the general manager of the local cable channel saw me as something that people would stop when they were flipping channels because it was so odd, so unusual, so funny looking and weird sounding. It was a way of standing out and getting attention. So that's the type of advertising I did for many years, was doing something really outrageous or strange to get people's attention. That's not necessarily what you would use if you were already an established brand or an established company, but if you're new, up and coming, or challenging a big brand, I was the type of person you would go to. You can look at an example of this go to YouTube and look up 471 Dean or Uncle Henry Dean Auto Sales, and all the commercials I did were really outrageous for a company. Now Dean McCrary is one of the top auto dealers in the region, but back then he was a used car guy that was trying to get his name out there. And he was able to use me in that way.
And it worked.
I love my car from Dean McCreary.
Right. But advertising campaigns depend on where you already are. Are you brand new? Are you established? All of it's unique for every client. Well, let me talk about Payroll Vault in terms of radio advertising, because even though that's an established business category, for a lot of people, it's a brand new thing to consider. A lot of people don't know that there's such a service available like Payroll Vault.
Very true.
So it's very challenging to try and come up with a 30-second or 60-second presentation that can transmit everything you need to transmit. You have to let people know exactly what you do. Because of the nature of Payroll Vault, you've got to really sell that you're trustworthy. It's just that's a very difficult thing.
It is.
To put in 30 seconds or 60 seconds, maybe even 2 minutes. And for something like Payroll Vault, the only way to make radio really work is to be super consistent for a long period of time, something that you really weren't willing to do on a budgetary
Very true.
way.
As a new business. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It was just hard on the budget.
That's such a good point. So really knowing, and that's where it's great to work with someone who knows that world, because I don't, I do payroll. I don't know anything about advertising, but you're able to kind of work with them to let them know what they need to do because you have that experience.
In terms of Payroll Vault, I'm sure that a lot of your business has come from word of mouth and also testimonials from people that have used you that can get that trust factor built, where you can say, where somebody can speak on your behalf, say, this person saved me money, and you can really trust them.
Is there an industry that you think works very well for radio?
Well, think of the radio commercials you hear. You constantly hear car commercials, lots of retail. We can get instant results with retail when you match the right pitch to the right customer. If you can find the right radio station to reach the demographic, to reach the potential customer,
I would think that's what it's all about, right?
That is 90% of it, is matching the right audience, finding the right demographic, the right station to reach those customers.
So if a new business is ready to explore that route of advertising through radio, what should they do?
You go to, I would hope, iHeart Radio or any other radio station locally, and we have some great ones here that aren't iHeart, and many that are iHeart. Talk to an experienced salesperson, account executive. You've got to make sure that they're asking you the right questions. I
like that. They
should be asking you who you want to have walk in the door, what type of customer are you looking for, who is your typical customer. They need to be asking you, how many customers do I need to bring you every month to justify this expense?
Cost versus
that's such a good question.
These are the things you have to ask.
But not all salespeople do that. So this is good stuff to know, y'all.
And we've got data where we can narrow it down to what our most powerful zip codes are. So if you might even match up with the right radio station and not reach the right zip code, if that makes sense.
It does.
Another thing about Payroll Vault, to get back to Payroll Vault, that's different from most businesses, is you told me a year or two ago that when you identified a potential client, sometimes it took you as much as 3 or 4 months to convince them to come on board.
In fact, a client we just had signed in January, they first reached out back in October, and it's been that long of a process to build that because they weren't in my immediate network. They were a referral partner of a referral partner. And so it's been a process to get to know each other and really prove that I can handle their business and that trust factor.
Yeah, just like you said.
So that is another aspect of how you would use radio. There are 30-second ads. There are 60-second ads. There are sponsorships of things like weather or traffic. Determining which one of those tools to use is based on the type of business you have, how long it takes to get a customer.
I have a question. You may not want to answer it, but have you ever turned down doing an advertisement for someone?
Absolutely.
What was the reason? Did you not agree with their brand, or I'm just curious?
Well, the most effective, I know this sounds unusual coming from me because I'm wearing a wig here with you, but the most effective advertising is authenticity, is telling a true story. And you don't want to go on the air. I don't want to go on the air and represent a business that I don't trust, that I think is fly-by-night, or that I think might not be on the up and up, So absolutely, we turn down business all the time for that purpose. Plus, if I represent a lousy business, that affects my brand. That affects my ability to earn money maybe for the rest of my career.
If they suck, you're going to look like you suck.
Exactly. Boy, the language on this podcast. My goodness. And you're the mother.
I'd be very good today.
And there's not even any wine being
Welcome
deployed
to
yet.
my life. You could only imagine if we were drinking. Not you.
I promised I'd behave today. How has the social media explosion affected, your take on radio?
Well, it's something that hasn't hurt us, at least not yet, as far as taking a lot of ad dollars away. A lot of people still haven't figured out how they should spend if they use social media to do advertising. That's still a question. People don't know.
That's a good
They
point.
just don't know.
They're just kind of trying it.
Right. A lot of people are. It hasn't hurt us. What it has done is help us in promoting our radio stations. I'm able to do my show every day on Facebook Live.
I watch you a lot of times.
So that's a commercial that I'm not paying for. That's all over social media. The same with Twitter. The same with YouTube. So I just told you a few minutes ago that I was ordered to get on Instagram. Why was I ordered to go on Instagram? Because our radio group thinks that's going to help us get new listeners.
Well, and I think about, we took a picture earlier and I tagged your Instagram page. And if you hadn't have had that, and it's just that growing, it's another, again, back to the Facebook Messenger, it's another way to communicate and just share other people's brands.
Do you do Twitter?
Yes, I do.
See, I don't do Twitter.
I don't do Twitter either.
It stresses me out.
It's so much. Even for me, and I'm usually all over the place.
So can I give a really millennial answer to why I don't use Twitter?
Sure.
Because we don't have cable, so I use Hulu and Netflix, and so I watch all of my shows after the fact. And on Twitter, everything is so up to date that it gives away all my shows. It's got all the spoilers, and that's why I'm not on Twitter. No shame.
I like reading Twitter way more than I like actually using it, if that makes sense.
It does.
I like that people are forced to be concise. I just like that part of it because Facebook can be like a book for some people.
Yes.
If I have to touch see more, the odds are I'm not going to go see more.
Exactly. So I like the brevity of Twitter. I like looking at it more than using it.
Well, that's why I like Instagram, because it's just short to the point.
Well, I'm sure that local marketing genius Johnny Gwynn has told you this is not a Twitter town.
It's not?
This is a
Good,
Facebook
then I live
town.
in the right place.
This is a Facebook town.
My mother-in-law's on Facebook, but she's not on anything else.
Yes, the extreme elderly. There's a woman in her 80s that waves at me on Facebook every day. Yes, indeed. The elderly
Maybe
love...
she thinks you're cute.
Well, I hope so. But yes, the elderly love Facebook.
Well, they get to see all their grandkids because nobody comes visit.
Exactly.
That's why Nanny is what I call her, and that's why she got on Facebook, so that she could see pictures of my children, her grandchildren. But one of my grandparents, she thinks that every picture on Facebook is sent to her, and I love her so much. Thank you for sending me the pictures, and I'm like, oh, that selfie. Whoops.
Uncle Henry, you are a business.
I am.
So here in Mobile, Alabama, what do you think is the epicenter in the business world?
The business epicenter of Mobile, I truly believe it's the Mobile Flea Market. What are you laughing at?
Oh,
what are you laughing
my gosh.
Come on. All right, look, have you been out there? Come on back to the show.
She's done.
She's left the show.
She has left the show. She's got the church giggle.
When was the last time you went out there?
It's been years.
All right, you go out there. We're in spring is one of the top times. It's probably the top season for the Mobile Flea Market. That's when you can buy goats and you can buy chickens.
The corn,
roasted corn year round there. I went out to the Mobile Flea Market last Saturday and took a bunch of pictures. You can go to newsradio710.com on my page and look at the pictures. They sell women's undergarments.
Oh my gosh.
They sell girdles. They sell what I find really intriguing.
I love that that's the first thing that you listed.
Well, you know why?
Were you shopping for those?
No, the reason I mention it is I walk into the flea market and one of the first things I saw at the very front of the flea market was a display of racy looking lingerie.
Protect the parts.
And you still kept going in.
I did. And one of the most intriguing, there's an aisle where at one end of the aisle, you can buy beautiful portraits of President Obama talking to Martin Luther King and other luminaries. And then just right at the other end of the aisle, Confederate flags. And I always think I wonder if the Confederate flag guy and the Barack Obama guy ever have a cup of coffee together. There is also, Karen, you're going to want this. Karen,
I can't.
There's also a flea market church.
Oh my God.
Where they hold, and I've gone to it. They hold church services every Sunday morning for the flea market vendors that need to be set up and they miss church. So they have a flea market church. That's why I'm saying it's the epicenter of the economy.
Next door to it, right?
Right next to the church, I think you can buy tasers. I mention it as the epicenter for a couple of reasons. One is that even if whether the mobile economy booms or busts, that place is still going to be there with chickens and goats and lingerie and Barack Obama and the Confederate flag.
I think you're brilliant.
And then the other reason is, now this is very serious, Karen.
Okay, I'm trying.
I found out recently, it shocked me, we did zip code analysis. The radio station I spend the most time on is Newsradio710 WNTM. Our top zip code is 36695. Really? Apparently, the people that live out west that send their kids to Baker High School and all that, they are listening to me as they drive in. That's our top zip code. So we have a renewed effort to try and spend some time out there. And I wanted to investigate last Saturday. I got on Schillinger Road from the flea market. So sad to leave there. And I headed.
It's the underwear.
It was Saturday afternoon, about 2:30 p.m. I head south on Schillinger. It was worse than Airport Boulevard has ever been. It was
madness.
It was bumper to bumper. It took me like 30 minutes to get to Cottage Hill Road. So the amount of business out there is just mind-boggling. So I believe the flea market planted the seed. It's all growing around the flea market.
It's the center.
Yes.
Epicenter.
The hub.
The epicenter.
It is. You can get everything you need to live, thrive, and survive. What I want is condos at the flea market.
I think they're called trailers.
Well, I would like that. An RV park right next to wouldn't that be perfect to go take?
I am so done with y'all.
What?
Is there a vape shop?
No, I'm just thinking like it's the OG co-working space.
Well, here's another thing I noticed. There was a lady there selling like shampoo, stuff you could buy anywhere at a Dollar General. She was like selling shampoo and soap. Well, I looked over and saw behind her booth, she was there in a Mercedes.
Oh my gosh.
I'm thinking to myself, somebody that somewhere in their life, they're making some cash to have the Mercedes, but they feel like it's worth their while on Saturday and Sunday to make a buck off of a bar of soap or something.
Maybe that's their cover.
Hustling.
You're right. Maybe they're money laundering.
They're laundering money, and that's their cover. It's the Ozarks.
Okay. I heard there was a Mobile Mafia, and thank the Lord I've never been important enough for them to bother me.
Interesting.
There really was, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think that's in a Grisham book. Yes. You might try doing people's taxes at the flea market.
I think they have that because I saw a commercial for Mo Money Tax Service. You can get your hair done, your laundry, and your taxes all at the same time.
But not my nails?
I'm sure you can stick your hand out. Somebody will do something with it.
Oh, too much.
I didn't mean that.
You took it wrong.
Because it's her.
You're known as the radio legend. How do you feel about that?
Am I known as a radio legend?
You are.
I think you are.
You are.
I'll tell you how I feel about that because every now and again people will say something like that. I don't know that I've done much legendary other than hold a job since 1984. Now, you're smiling almost on the verge of laughing.
That's a big deal.
It's true that all I've had to do is stay employed. And the longer I stay employed, the more I get credit for it.
That's a beautiful place to be.
Oh, it is a wonderful place to be. I love the fact that all I've got to do is hang on and I become more legendary just by hanging on to the job.
What is your favorite thing about what you do?
I mentioned this to you earlier, the fact that it's different every day.
I would enjoy being cranky. I'm sorry.
He's not cranky.
Have I been cranky in this interview?
You have not been cranky today. You have not been cranky. But I've seen him cranky.
I've never seen you cranky.
I've been very cranky. But I just love the fact
that
she is kissing your butt. There's no way.
What?
That's just my positive attitude.
What makes me the crankiest? Well, I've gotten to that age where I'm starting to realize that younger generations, no offense to the millennials, don't seem to know as much history and don't understand that we get close to repeating it all the time and making the same mistakes. And it just drives me crazy that people aren't able to look back, even as far as the 1980s or 70s, and realize that we've already made mistakes that we shouldn't make again.
That is so deep and so true. I really don't think about it that much, but you're right.
So that makes me cranky.
Yeah.
Also, most government makes me cranky. I understand the need for it, and often would want to go to the government for help with different things. But that can make me cranky just when you see a waste.
What about Auburn fans?
They have been very, very good with me over the last several years. We've had kind of a détente.
Democrats?
I love Democrats. I have lots of Democrats in my family. We don't talk about the world around us very often because we want to get along and still love each other. When I'm off the air, when somebody starts talking to me about politics, mentally I end up going somewhere else.
Same.
I just could care less about it. I know it's very, very important and people are very angry at each other. But once I get off the radio, I don't want to talk about it or even think about it.
No, I wouldn't
Stresses
think
me
so.
out.
I like to talk about platforms, but not politics.
I read an analysis recently that if you try to talk about things from a non-political standpoint or a center, middle of the road standpoint, that people, they can't even understand you anymore. Because if you approach it without labels, people don't know what to make of you.
I just keep talking because I have to stay in that lane.
But I don't even consider any of those labels. My wish for local government, national government would be solution oriented, where let's identify a problem and then everybody get together and figure out what would be the best ways to deal with it and forget what tribe we're a member of. Let's just solve a problem.
I totally agree.
Cheers to solving problems.
Cheers. I think business people especially have to watch of taking a side just because either way, you're going to alienate half your clientele or half your customers. So why would you do that? You've been able to make a stance successfully and stay by it all these years and still be respected. And I think that's great.
I don't want to belittle anybody for what they believe. Does that make sense?
It does.
I can disagree with somebody. That doesn't mean I have to hate them or belittle them.
I think, and that's hard.
That's where we need to be.
I think some people don't understand that just because I'm disagreeing with you doesn't mean that I don't respect your opinion.
Right.
We're just standing on different sides of the fence.
And I think that's what's gone wrong is they've lost sight of that. Because if you're saying, I disagree with you, then I'm just saying you're stupid.
It's
and that's
okay
not
to
what I'm
disagree.
saying.
Well, earlier this week, I was interviewing an NBC radio news correspondent about border security. And I had a listener get very angry that I didn't attack them. In fact, the listener went on Facebook and said that the station had cut off my private parts.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. They
went to your pants.
They wrote about my private parts on Facebook.
Oh, my God.
And it was all because I didn't engage in a fight with somebody that the listener disagreed with.
That was their opinion.
It hurts my heart.
It does mine too. Especially thinking somebody going after Uncle Henry's pants.
Thank you so much. Nobody even leapt up and defended my private parts or anything like that.
I've never seen them, and I don't know how to defend them.
I see a new pin in your future.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Defend the parts?
Defend the parts.
Well, yes.
Protect the parts.
Let's talk about solutions and not about cutting off people's private parts.
But it's 2019.
What does that mean? It's 2019.
That means, that's where people are at.
Defending the parts?
Protecting the parts,
I wish. Protect them, everybody's attacking.
And that's why people listening to this will probably get mad at me because they can't figure out how to label me. Other than somebody without private parts.
Because you have to have a label.
You have to have your hands crossed in front of you on the pen.
Okay.
Defending the parts.
She's going to roll with this for the rest of the day.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
And it just went.
Welcome to my world.
Poof. I don't want to call you old. Uncle Henry.
I am.
Okay.
Compared to you, I'm Methuselah.
Well, no, but my soul is old.
She was looking at me.
Because you call me an old soul.
That's true.
I'm a grandmother inside.
Yeah, but you keep gesturing, and I can't. The tattoo keeps flying around here.
Because I'm a millennial, so I have a tattoo that shows.
All right, you're an old soul with a millennial tattoo. All right,
I'm not going to fit in someone's box. That's what that tattoo says.
She's defending her parts,
protecting my parts and defending.
Very good.
Uncle Henry, how can people listen to you?
You can listen to me on the radio. I'm on News Radio 710 WNTM. That's AM radio. I'm also on WBUV FM in Biloxi. The show is now on in Biloxi.
Oh, nice.
That's fantastic.
Gulf Coast Mornings is what we call the show. I now work with a partner in the mornings. And then I've also got the Uncle Henry Show podcast that's available.
You're a podcaster.
Look at that.
On the iHeart Radio app. I've always podcast
they have
the
an
radio
app?
Show. Yes.
I need to get that out.
And you've Facebook Live, the radio, correct?
Right.
Okay.
I now watch that one.
And
that's really good in the morning.
Can someone just type in Uncle Henry on Facebook?
No, because there are Uncle Henry knives. There are Uncle Henry. There's a lot in the Northeast. There's a lot of Uncle Henry businesses that involve food or stuff like that. So no, you need to you need to type in show after Uncle Henry to find it.
Got it. Uncle Henry Show. Perfect. And now Instagram too, and Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All the platforms. Aren't we on the app, the iHeart Radio app now?
I think Johnny said we're out there now because I know we hit Spotify this weekend.
Perfect. So download the iHeart Radio app and find Uncle Henry on Gulf Coast Mornings and Cheers to Business.
Well, I'm going to my Play Store right now because I didn't have the iHeart app, and I'm fixing to get it. So we'll be listening to you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show today. It's been so much fun.
We have to say a cheers.
Absolutely.
So we always end with a cheers to something. So cheers to being cranky.
Thank you. Cheers to being cranky.
Yes. All right. Cheers to Uncle Henry. Y'all, thank you so much for listening and being here with us today. I'm Karen.
I'm Cadie. Please be sure to subscribe to Cheers to Business podcast on iTunes or anywhere else that you get your podcast. Visit our Facebook and be sure to give us a like. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to discuss, shoot us an email from the website cheerstobusiness.com.